I'm a sociologist, and what comparative analysis does is it disrupts your taken for granted views of a very banal way we do life. So it gives you what Mills called sociological imagination. So, for example, in the UK, maternal employment is closely tied up with part-time work and ideas that this is a way of being a good mother. If you go to Africa, bits of China, other bits of Europe, the way motherhood is constructed in terms of paid and unpaid work is completely different. And that helps you challenge, or at least think about, why we do it this way in this particular context. In relation to how women do their lives, the big debate actually mirrors a lot of sociological debates, which are, to what extent is this a choice? Women are choosing to do paid jobs, or women are choosing not to follow careers into management. Or is this totally driven by structure? They're prisons of history. And clearly it's somewhere in between is the debates I think are more useful and have a much better purchase on people's sense of how their lives are carved out. So at the moment, one of the debates is between the more rational choice, neoclassical type arguments that women make choices and because they bear are informed decisions, versus perhaps more feminist debates about women being channeled into certain ways of behaving in the labour market, or more recently Sen's ideas around capability frameworks and how our decisions are shaped quite explicitly by the situation we find ourselves in, both at home, the particular workplace we work in, the particular country we live in. A lot of it is to do with how we organise care work and all that stuff that isn't paid. But that's not the only reason. And it's a very reductive understanding of gender inequalities to blame it all on who has the kids and who looks after them. But that's clearly a big issue around work-family reconciliation. And that shapes how men behave as well, but we don't really interrogate that, at least in current debates. It's just starting up that we look at men around family issues. So family is one of them. The other part of that, in the more sociological debate, are our norms and ideas about what is appropriate behaviour and what is it to be a good mother, good father, good citizen in terms of the decisions we make and how we behave. Then when you get into the workplace, there are other sort of micro processes and structures happening, recruitment processes, judgments about who is the most appropriately equipped person to do this type of job, and whether this job is valued in terms of being seen as something skilled and something that deserves decent pay, for example. It clearly creates economic problems that need to be addressed. It also creates political problems in terms of how gender is treated, so or gender inequalities are treated. So in the good times, it's often easier for all kinds of issues to say we need a new policy, or we need to invest here, or we need to ensure we hang on to women in the workforce by putting innovative policies in place. When you get a recession, everything starts to get cut and re-looked at. There's a danger we slip into gender equality as an optional extra, and it becomes less important than worrying about men's jobs, or less important than youth unemployment. And actually, there's a whole body of literature, as well as political debates, about how addressing gender equality through the lean times is also part of a good pathway to recovery. So if we rolled back all childcare now because we don't need women in the workforce, the simple re-establishing at a later time will be hugely costly.